difference.
Welcome back to the show, and we're going to go live now to Dom Aldworth with the midweek sports roundup. Good afternoon, Dom. How are you?
Very good, thanks, Dave. Good afternoon to you too.
Not too. How's the show going on Monday, Dom? Are you enjoying that?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, it just gives me an extra opportunity for another 40-odd minutes to talk sport with my two colleagues, Stuart Joseph and Richard Tilsley. Thoroughly enjoyed, Dave. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, with to look back over the weekend's events on a Monday while it's still fresh in your mind is obviously more effective as well, I think, for the sports fan and the listener out there.
I didn't know you could talk a lot about sport, Dom. That was a bit of a surprise to me, but we did actually put you a challenge when we had the Christmas do to talk about something else apart from sport. But you went about 10 minutes, and then
I don't even think I lasted 10 minutes actually, Dave.
Okay, what's happening this week? And let's start off with tennis and the big Aussie Open, of course, over the weekend.
Absolutely. We'll talk about the Australian Open first, Dave, and both the men and the women's Australian Open champions from 2012 delivered repeat performances. In the first Grand Slam of the year at Melbourne, defending their crowns, world number one Victoria Azarenka came from a set down against former French Open champion from China, Li Na. Na looked in particularly good form and very dominant in the first set, taking that 6-4. Only to turn her ankle over in the second set, which hampered her movement substantially. This allowed Victoria Azarenka back into the match to take the last two sets, 6-4, 6-3, to lift her second Grand Slam and her 15th career title in all. She also became the third woman in only the last 13 years to win back-to-back titles in Melbourne, following the footsteps of Jennifer Capriati, who won there in 2001 and 2002, and Serena Williams, who repeated that feat in 2009 and 2010. And in the men's draw, world number one Novak Djokovic made his own piece of history when he became the first man in the modern era to win 3 consecutive Australian Open titles, defeating Andy Murray in 4 sets, 6-7, 7-6, 6-3, 6-2. Murray had his chances in the final, that's for sure. I mean, he came in there in particularly good form as well, with 10 straight wins in 2013. He took the first set, as we all know, and it looked as though he could have gone all the way. He had his chances in the second set, 2-all. 3 break points against the Djokovic serve, but unfortunately the resolve of Novak Djokovic, as we've seen time and time again, eventually came out on top. For him to win in 4 sets, his 4th Australian Open crown, his 6th Grand Slam title in all, 35th career title in all at the age of just 25, and unbelievably so, Novak Djokovic is now featured in 8 of the last 10 Grand Slam finals since 2010. It's just a real highlight of what sort of form we've seen from the world number one over the last couple of years.
And he's made history as well, hasn't he, Don, by winning the Australian Open, is it 3 times?
Yeah, that's absolutely history in the modern era, to become the first man to win it on 3 occasions. And that's 4 titles in all for him in Australia Down Under, which certainly shows that his favourite surface is very much the hard courts.
Andy Murray did play well. I mean, they played each other a lot over the years, haven't they? That they're quite good friends are here, and they know each other's game really well. So it's always a great match. And a lot of the commentators were saying it could go either way. But I think quite a few were saying possibly Djokovic might just edge it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Andy Murray's game has improved enormously, Dave. It was just over a year ago that he solicited the help of his new coach, his coach of the year now, Ivan Lendl, who's a 9-time Grand Slam champion. And there has been a huge change in his game. Physically, as an athlete, Andy Murray has improved as well. He is, without question, alongside Djokovic, the fittest man on tour. Lendl very much helps his cause. I mean, over the last 9 occasions, Djokovic has got a 5-4 head-to-head, and that's obviously they were 4-4 coming into the Aussie Open final. That's going to change over the course of the year. Murray will beat Djokovic, there's no doubt about it. But now these are 2 guys in the peak of their powers, and over the next couple of years, we're going to see a great rivalry between the 2 of them, there's no doubt about it.
Okay, and shall we move on to golf then, Dom? Golf, PGA and European Tour roundup, please. Yeah,
we will do. The European Tour came from the Commercial Bank Qatar Masters on the weekend, and Chris Wood eagled the final hole in pretty dramatic style to secure his first European Tour win. Wood shot a closing 69 to finish on 17 under par, only 1 shot ahead of South Africa's George Coetzee and Spain's Sergio Garcia, who's showing a real welcome return to form this season. This week, the tour moves on to Dubai and the Omega Dubai Desert Classic, which begins tomorrow at the Emirates Golf Club. Rafa Cabrera Bello is the defending champion there. But Sergio Garcia and Lee Westwood certainly start as the favourites there on 2bet2. And on the PGA Tour, Tiger Woods kicked off his PGA Tour season with a 75th career victory there on the PGA Tour, his 7th at the Farmers Insurance Open as well. So tremendous start to the season there for Tiger Woods. He now moves within 7 victories of Sam Snead's record of 82. PGA Tour win. So good stuff there from Tiger Woods. Tomorrow the PGA Tour season continues at the TPC Scottsdale in Arizona and the Waste Management Phoenix Open. And Brandt Snedeker there, the FedEx Cup winner from last year, is the defending champion.
Okay, thanks, Dom, for that. Keeping us up to date. There's been an international cricket over last week. What's the latest from that?
Well, England closed out their tour of India, Dave, with a consolation 7-wicket win in the final one-day international.
Brilliant.
Ian Bell starring there with a bat with 113 not out. Tim Bresnan, the man with the ball in hand, with 4 wickets. The 2-star performance for England. England now move on to New Zealand for a test and one-day series there. New Zealand really struggling at the moment following the resignation of their captain, Ross Taylor, and a series thumping at the hands of South Africa. I don't think England are going to have too many problems dealing with the Kiwis in New Zealand. There won't be any Tim Bresnan in the series due to an elbow injury. He's been replaced by Chris Wokes. Just staying with a bit of cricket as well, Graham Smith will make history in the first test against Pakistan in South Africa on Friday, when he becomes the first man to captain his country on 100 occasions. I mean, this is unprecedented, a remarkable achievement for a man who will also incidentally be celebrating his 32nd birthday on the very same day. And here's a really good one from down under, Australian legend Shane Warne. He's up to his old tricks again, slamming the Australian cricket board by calling the selectors a bunch of muppets and saying that the Australian coach, South African-born Mickey Arthur, should be replaced by former New Zealand captain Stephen Fleming, who he describes as the best captain he's ever played against. He also believes that former wicketkeeper batsman Rodney Marsh should be head of selectors. And Warne has claimed in one of the most important years for Australian cricket, and English cricket incidentally, with a 2 Ashes series taking place within a matter of several months, changes should be made to Australian cricket now before it's all too late. It appears they've listened. Today there was an announcement that former Australian great Dennis Lilly will now take over the advisory role in the bowling department for the High Performance Centre there. So Shane Warne's voice still very much listened to down under. Wasn't
there talk of Shane Warne possibly making a great comeback of some type? Or has that gone down? Is that not happening at all then?
Well, he's been featuring in the T20, the shorter version, in the Big Bash in Australia. He's looking very fit, still bowling as well as ever. I mean, the problem with Australian cricket at the moment is they don't have a top-class spinner. And there was talk, but he soon put that speculation to rest about coming out of retirement. And to be perfectly honest, his body might be able to hold up over 20 or 40 overs, or in the shorter version of the game. But Test cricket is 5-day cricket. Warne, as an international spin bowler today, you're expected to bowl, 20 to 30 overs in a day's play. And, when you're playing in conditions like you greeted with in India, 35 degrees Celsius, I'm afraid to say I don't think Warner could do that at his age.
No, probably not. I don't think I could do this at my age. Rugby Six Nations look ahead. Let's have a quick look at what's a preview, shall we say?
Yeah, we've got the Rugby Six Nations, Dave, which begins this weekend. Just a little bit of team news to bring for you. France and from the French side there, Toulon and centre, Mathieu Bastareaud is back in the French team after 3 years out. I don't know if you recall an incident in New Zealand 3 years ago when France were down playing the All Blacks. The French centre there was he lied to the authorities, saying that he was a victim of I think it was a late night brawl. But actually, he was a very drunk player after a game, and he fell over in his hotel room. He was banned for France for 3 years, but some really good form shown by him in the Heineken Cup in the top 14. He's been recalled a top-class player as well, Bastareaud. Former French captain as well, and the 2011 World Player of the Year, Thierry Dusautoir, is back in the team after a 12-month absence as well. He's been showing some pretty good form for Toulouse. So good news there for the French. Even better news for Ireland. Brian O'Driscoll, Rob Kearney, Rory Best and Sean O'Brien, who all never featured in the autumn internationals due to injury. They are all back, and that strengthens the Irish squad substantially. Not such great news for England this weekend. Manu Tuilagi, the Samoan-born centre, will miss Saturday's game with Scotland due to injury. He is expected to be back the week after. But Alex Corbicero has been ruled out for the entire tournament, and that's a big blow for England. Alex Corbicero really has performed very well for England in recent times. Your fixtures for the weekend: Wales will be hosting Ireland at the Millennium Stadium. Remember, Wales coming into this tournament, I think, off the back of 6 defeats in the second half of last year. England will be hosting Scotland, and Italy will be hosting France.
OK, and just let's move on to... Well, before we do this, Premiership football. Stewart, bless him, on Monday night, got a bit of stick off the boys, didn't he, for being a Tottenham fan and for making... I did listen to the show, and it was quite amusing, but I did feel a bit for Stewart. I mean, maybe I'm mellowing out my old age.
Well, no, absolutely. Stu deserved everything he got. I mean, he openly said on Friday, which I managed to pull out of the show and replay it back, that Spurs were in top form and a 3 or 4-0 victory against Leeds was going to happen. Unfortunately, you've got to be very careful about what you say on radio, and perhaps he should stop wearing his heart on his sleeve when it comes to Spurs and sit more on the fence.
Yeah, and use your head a bit. Yes, okay. And so anyway, let's have a quick look at Premiership football then.
Yeah, just from last night and tonight as well, Dave, a full round of Premiership fixtures. Last night, Aston Villa, their problems have continued. They've now dropped into the bottom 3. They've in a battle of the basement against Newcastle, who came out on top 2-1. Really bad news for Aston Villa. They're 12 losses from 24 of their matches so far this season. QPR, remember them on the weekend against MK Dons. They got thrashed 4-2. But at home this week in the league, they managed to hold Manchester City to a goalless draw. That's 1 point in the bag for Harry Redknapp's team, a much-needed point as well. And let's not forget that Manchester City side did not feature Mario Balotelli, who's now AC Milan bound. Stoke versus Wigan, 2 goals apiece there. An incredible 12th draw for Stoke this season out of 24 of their matches. They really need to try and find some wins on the board there, because a point simply won't suffice every single time. And there was a goalless draw there for Swansea and Sunderland. Tonight's action, Everton versus West Brom, Norwich versus Spurs. We better hope Spurs get a win there, otherwise Stuart will be getting more stick on Friday. Arsenal versus Liverpool, Fulham versus West Ham, Reading versus Chelsea. Some big transfer news this week. Didier Drogba will join Wesley Sneijder at Galatasaray. That's a great move for Drogba, considering Galatasaray are still in the Champions League. A good riddance to Mario Balotelli, leaving English football to AC Milan. And David Beckham, his future should be decided, and in fact all will be revealed when the transfer window closes at midnight tomorrow night. Some cup football from Europe as well. Lazio defeated Juventus 2-1, 3-2 on aggregate in the semi-finals of the Coppa Italia last night. That's Lazio through. They now await the winners of Roma versus Inter Milan. Roma 2-1 to the better against Inter after that first leg. If Roma gets through, it'll be a Rome clash, Lazio versus Roma in the Coppa Italia final, which would be a great occasion for Italian football. And then tonight, El Clasico, first leg of the semi-finals of the King's Cup, Barcelona versus Real Madrid, or should I say Real Madrid versus Barcelona. The first leg is at the Santiago Bernabeu. Messi versus Ronaldo, what more do you need? Some injury concerns for Jose Mourinho, no Iker Casillas, no Control, and also in the back as well, goodness me, I completely forgot his Sergio Ramos, there you go. He's also not featuring. So a pretty flimsy defence that I'm sure Iniesta, Xavi and Messi will be taking advantage of this evening.
Okay, finally then, Super Bowl this week as well.
We've got to give this a mention, Dave. Super Bowl 47 this weekend. From New Orleans, that is, the NFC champions, San Francisco 49ers, taking on the AFC champions, the Baltimore Ravens. A showdown between two quarterbacks in top form. For the 49ers, it's Colin Kaepernick, a rookie quarterback in only his 8th start, versus the Ravens quarterback Joe Flacco. Wide receivers Randy Moss and running back Frank Gore from the 49ers up against Ray Rice and Anquan Boldin from the Ravens. And a Super Bowl farewell as well to Ray Lewis after a glittering 17-year career. That's also seen him be an MVP in the Super Bowl in the year 2000 for the Ravens. And not to mention as well, two brothers as opposing coaches as well. This is unprecedented. John Harbaugh from the Ravens against his brother Jim Harbaugh from the 49ers. What a great occasion. And Dave, if I can say to any of the sports fan listeners out there, if you want to catch up, if you're a fan of American sports, the Super Bowl, hockey, even any football, European football league, pretty much all your breaking world sport, golf, tennis, rugby, cricket, please check out www.news.2bet2.com. That's the company I work for. I control all their news feeds. You can get absolutely all the news. And also check out on the platform of Facebook as well, our betting app, and our new Sports World app as well.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Dom. Appreciate it. And we'll speak to you at a different time next week, to be arranged, but we will be still on the show, so we'll be looking forward to that. Thanks, Dom.
My pleasure, Dave.
Have a great day, and we'll look forward to the show on Friday night. Dom Aldworth, thanks, Dom.